Welcome to Talking PHAT. That's PHAT spelled P-H-A-T, which stands for Purpose, Hope, and Truth. This is where solutions are discussed for today's problems in our country, in our communities, and in our lives.
Peace and blessings, everyone. Peace and blessings. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Unlocking Your Legacy with Talking PHAT. I am your host, Keith Robertson, the Fin Coach, a.k.a. King Rob. That's right. Listen, I'm going to talk about that here in a bit, but that's right, a.k.a. King Rob. I said it, and we're going to talk about it here shortly. But nevertheless, we're here today to bring you public information that a lot of times that just may not be public information. So this is why we're here. We're here on a labor of love. We're here because we love y'all. We want to provide you some information that we truly hope will help you in your life. Now, listen, guys, there's Talking PHAT, and that's P-H-A-T, not F-A-T. P-H-A-T is an acronym for Purpose, Hope, and Truth. I want to thank you again, as I always say, for taking time out of your busy schedule, and we want to give praises to the Most High. The Most High, without whom we wouldn't be here today. We give all praises to God, and we thank the Creator for another day. Beautiful day. For somebody to wake up. You ever think about that when you wake up in the morning? Someone didn't get up. You were able to get up. You were blessed with another day. Regardless of the situation, you were blessed with another day. That's powerful when you really think about it. Now, as we look into how we can make our days better by making our lives better, right? How we can begin to not only survive life, but live life. Me, I've been here 61 years. And all that I see that's going on around me has driven me to this point of wanting to come out here and share this information with you, have a conversation with you each and every week. Hey, this is what I need to do because I feel like this is a part of my purpose, and the Most High has me here. So hopefully you'll get something out of it. You know, please like, share, thumbs up. But look, I need you guys to comment. I really would appreciate it if you would comment. You know, let us know that you at least hear us. You know, what we're talking about, does it make sense? Does it radiate with you? Or do you just need that, you just want that information, you just want that thing to play with the mind, you just want something to tingle your emotions, something to make you mad, glad, happy, and sad. You don't want anything that will stimulate you, to cause you to think. Critical thinking at that. You know, just come on, guys. I'm asking you. Like, share, comment, and just let me know you're out there. You know, it's hard a lot of times just talking to myself, right? I'm right here. I don't look to see who's out there, but I tell you what, if you're here today, I got something for you. Well, look, you know, let's test this real quick. I don't deal with political news, and I try to stay away from religion as much as I can, but I'm going to say a little bit about both tonight. One big, beautiful bill passed the House. What was it? It was 215 to 214. All right, guys, you got to get ready. It's unfolding in front of you. Now it goes to the Senate to see if it's going to pass the Senate. You need to get in contact with your senators, your local delegates, and let them know how you feel. You know, because listen, when they're talking about these spending cuts and how it's not going to affect things like Medicaid, listen, guys, it's in there. If you listen to them, you hear them talking about it. It's in there. You know, it's going to affect your Pell Grants. Many people of color, like myself, went to school with Pell Grants. Pell Grants are going to be reduced, in some cases eliminated. Come on, guys. Got to open your eyes. You know, this is why the topic that we're going to talk about today, why people stay loyal to broken programs. I'm wondering about that. As we see what's unfolding right in front of us, it's like we see it, and are you even talking about it amongst your peers? Listen, one of the big things that we got coming up now in June, I believe June 17th is a primary election. You got to get to the polls. You have to get to the polls. If you don't vote, you don't have a voice. Well, let me say it a different way. If you don't vote, you don't have the right to even complain. You don't have the right to say anything. Your vote don't count. Okay, your vote don't count, but look, people died so you could have the right to vote. Do you understand that? What our ancestors had to go through so they could go and just check a box, put a name in a jar, make a choice, what they feel is best for them, which is ultimately what has been best for you. Don't take it lightly, guys. Don't take it lightly. At least if you vote and it turns out the other way, and if there is a question, at least there could be someone to stand up to say, hey, recount the votes. And you can be confident in knowing that you did vote. You know, it's time now that we need to wake up in our communities, in our local governments, talking to our councilmen. I don't know if you guys saw what I posted last Saturday. Chesapeake City Councilman Les Smith, he had a prayer breakfast. Pastor Jeffrey Guns came and delivered a word to us, which was time to go back on. I went live. It's down in my Facebook somewhere where you could actually see it. But one of the key things that was spoken about was making sure that you have a voice. And the only way that you can have a voice is to have your own constituents in office, someone that's voting on your behalf, not someone that's voting to win popularity, you know, because even Les said it himself. Going into those positions is not easy. For one, it's not easy financially. You know, because I was under the misconception. I'm gonna tell you, I was under the misconception, right? You run, you have your campaign contributions. You know, hey, you live off of that once you're in the office, and other people are giving you. No. Nah, I saw the numbers, y'all. We need to support not only with our votes, but monetarily. We as a people, talking about you black and browns, you gotta wake up. It's right here in front of you. You know, so the topic of I can talk about a few things real quick. The housing market again, housing inventory has ticked up a bit more. The interest rates are still, high sixes, low sevens. You hear them talking in the news about how this time of the season it's time to buy a house. It may be time to buy a house now because houses are on the market and the rates are going to be coming down. No, the reason they're doing that because statistically every year, right, we have a buying cycle. We're going into the buying cycle of the summer because typically most people buy houses and move in the summertime, especially when they have children because they don't want to move kids during the school year. So don't believe the hype, guys. Get off of the TV, please. Read for yourself and really get an understanding of what's going on. One thing about it though, here in Hampton Roads, we're a little different because we're much more transit than a lot of other communities or areas around the country because of the military, right? There's always an influx of people coming in and an outflux of people going out as they are being stationed here and being transferred out. So, our housing market is a little different, but yet still our inventory is up as well. I say it's still a seller's market. Okay. But all the trends and everything that's going on right now, it's very difficult for you to own a home because of the cost of the actual property. You know what I did not do? Let me check my back end and make sure I am live as I should be. Am I live, y'all? I don't see if I'm live or not. Am I live? I'm live. Okay, here we go. I'm in the house. All right. I just wanted to make sure. Because I've gone through a whole segment and realized that I want broadcasting. So I always check that to make sure that that's not the case. But again, in that the housing market is in flux right now as well. Foreclosures are up around the country. Various other areas. We're seeing prices pricing of homes dropping $50,000-$60,000. We're seeing the building permits are going down. We're seeing less building. Yeah, we see that going on. We see it, but yet it's going to create opportunity. Opportunity is coming. You're going to listen. I will tell anybody this. Contact us if you want to buy a home. I don't care if your credit score is 400. If you have a job and you're coachable and teachable in 2 years, to show you how to buy a home. It don't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference. It show you how to buy a home. And it's the key component is understanding how money works, understanding how the banking system works, understanding how real estate actually works. A lot of the stuff they put out there online for you guys is I'm going to say that is very high level. At a high level, you can do these things, but they're selling the programs. But anyway, that's not the topic of conversation today. The topic of conversation today: why do people stay stuck and loyal to programs when they're not working? Why is that? Why do you continue to be in a situation when you know it's not working? Why do you continue to follow a program when you know it's not working? And the reason why I say that is because look at the state of our community. It's not working, y'all. What we've done over the past several years, 20 years, 30 years, it has not worked. We've come out with the short end of the stick. And I was just sitting back and I was wondering why. Am I the only one that sees the problems? Now, I'm not talking about the crime, because crime has always been a problem, right? Crime is going to always be there. Locks will only keep an honest man out. If you're a criminal, you're going to do criminality, period, right? But I'm talking about your core. I'm talking about to our hearts, guys. People of integrity. We need our integrity back. We need our souls back. As I sit in church, not going to say any particular church, I'm going to say churches, through my tenure, and I look around at the people, and I could tell it was one or two things that they dealt with. Either it's a medical condition or it's an economical condition. And many times, both of those can be corrected. But why do people stay loyal to programs that are not working? It's just people adapt to dysfunction. You say, oh, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. I'm on this job. I'm working. I'm able to feed my family. I'm able to keep a roof over our head. It's not that bad. But the question I have is that, are you living life or just surviving life when it's not just that bad? Do you have an opportunity to, as they say, smell the roses? Do you live here in Hampton Roads, and when was the last time you went down to the ocean front to see the sunrise? Or are you too busy? Too busy working? The dysfunction, you tell yourself is not that bad. Come on, guys. It may be not that bad, but it could be better, right? What's the next one? Okay. Most behaviors are habitual, not conscious. People begin to do certain things and it becomes the norm. This is what I do. I'm in this job. Okay, it's not the best job. I may be suffering. Oh, the question is, I'm sorry, Queen. The question is why people stay loyal to broken programs. That's the question. Okay, I want to make sure you're on point with that. But the thing, okay, going back. Okay, yeah, it's habitual, right? You begin to repeat a pattern. You do the same thing over and over and over again. Can you imagine? You go to work, you come home. You go to work, you come home. You begin to cut a groove or a pathway to that job, a pathway, and you begin to. It's called neurolinguistics, right? Neural pathways, where you've programmed your mind to think a certain way over time because you continue to do the same thing time and time and time again, day by day by day. You do the same thing. And it becomes first what we say, a thought, an action, then a characteristic of who you are. And so you continue to do it every day. Because sometimes then it gets too difficult to get out of that rut. Again, going back, this is what I'm used to doing. Oh, my mother did it like this. My father did it like this. Oh, my friends do the same thing. You ever heard the term misery loves company? I want you to know right now, it's okay to be different. It's okay to be different, but be true to you and who you are. Living that life in which you were sent here to live. I got to say the word, y'all. Your purpose. Being in that rut, going back and forth, doing the same thing every day. It's not your purpose. I promise you that. Many people build their identity through the struggle, sacrifice, being the underdog. Oh man, I love a struggle. I come out fight. I'm winning. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. I'm struggling, but I'm winning. But what happens is, right? It's like the mindset, three different types of people, right? You have the mindset of a spender, right? A spender will do this. He will, if I want it, I'm gonna get it. I don't care if I gotta borrow. I'll put this off. I'm gonna get it. I want to go on vacation. Okay, I'm gonna pay my bills when I come back. I think that's the craziest thing. You go on vacation and you come back and you gotta pay bills. Then you gotta pay for the vacation. That's what a spender does. A spender spends. They're always beneath that threshold. They're down here. Always they build up their capital. They spend. They build up their capital. They spend. But then you have a person with the saving mentality, right? Because they don't pay cash for everything. Eat oodles and noodles. They're not going to live life because they're afraid something is going to come up and they're going to need their money. But this is what happens to them. They save their money, then they buy cash. Save their money, they buy what they want for cash. But as you notice, the spender comes at a certain point, and the saver comes back to that same point. So neither one of them are successful in living life, surviving life. You still in that survival mode. You in that rut. I'm gonna spend my money. You in that rut. I'm gonna save my money. Now, nothing wrong with saving. Don't listen what I'm saying to you now. I'm not saying that there is something wrong with saving it, because I'm not. But I'm just talking about, why do people work programs that in the long run don't work for them? Why do you stay in the program? Because the wealthy operate totally different. And I really want to talk about the difference between rich and wealthy one of these days, because there is a huge difference. And in our community anyway, for sure, when we look at it. But staying in that same position or staying in that same program because it didn't work, you're going to stay on that diet if you're not losing weight? Are you really going to? I don't think you are. But in our community, we have ourselves in a conundrum. We see everything that's going on. We see the possibilities of the economy collapsing. We're seeing jobs that are going to be taken away. But what are we doing? Are you preparing yourself for the future? Are you preparing your children for the future? Look, guys, your kids didn't ask to be here. It's your responsibility to put things in place for your children. All other, not going to say all other, but many other communities, they make sure from day one the children are taken care of. But we've been programmed. You can't run in the same program. How many of y'all have seen on a television show, where when you get 18, you're getting out of the house? I had a client tell me, not a client, I'm sorry. I had a person tell me that the other day. Had just finished telling me that the child was not in a position to take care of themselves, but yet can't wait till they turn 18 in a few months, gonna put them out. Come on, guys. That dog don't hunt. We have to now look at a few things. There's a such thing that I talked about that's called unconscious ignorance. You don't know what you don't know. You're not held accountable for what you don't know. But when it comes to financial literacy, it's a must now in your life. Do you understand what I'm saying? Understanding how money works in a system that's set up for you to have failure because you have not been taught how to function effectively within that system. And so you have unconscious ignorance, not understanding how money works. Like right now, high yielding accounts, you can get a high yielding account that will return 5% of your money versus a typical checking or savings account, right? 0.00123 or whatever. You have bonds there, it's 4.5 going to 5. Treasury yields are treasury bond, 10-year treasury bonds are headed up to 5% as well. These are the things in which you can put your money into that's going to grow for you. But the key thing about this is that you have to control interest. It's not about the game, is about interest. Whoever controls your interest wins. Let's break it down. If you have your money in the bank, okay, they're paying you interest. Even in the situation I told you, 5%, they give you 5% interest. Wonderful. Okay, your money stays there, you're gaining interest. You buy stocks, stock increases in value, you get a higher return. Got to pay dividends, but nevertheless, you get a higher return. Bonds, over time, you're going to gain that interest. Crypto, as it increases, I bet you guys would wish you would have got in when I told you it had gone down to 84, 79, 79. They're going to say, buy some crypto. Now it's back over 100. But anyway, okay, that's the game, right? You put your money in what you know that they're telling you to put your money into. The stock market. Listen, don't you guys realize that the game is rigged? If something is always pushed in your face, is it normally going to be beneficial or detrimental in the long run? Because now what we see the market has made a correction and it looks like it's going to go back up. But are you in a position to play that game? Because the bottom line is this. Let's go back to interest from what I was saying. Controlling interest is one of the primary functions of understanding how money works when you control your own interest. Because look at it like this. Let's say you have $100,000 in the bank. You have opportunity. You can make an investment. You got $100,000 making that interest, right? Let's say 5% or whatever the case may be, but it's making interest. You need 50,000, okay? Got 100, you pull 50 out. Now you lose the momentum of compounding interest on that 100 Because again, I'm talking about legacy. I'm talking about legacy and how it works, right? Unlocking your legacy. We're talking PHAT legacy, right? Now it's $50,000. You got the 50,000, but yet you lost the momentum of compounding interest. Well, I got stocks, I got bonds, I have crypto. Wonderful. $100,000. You need $50,000 for this investment. You got to sell it. You got to sell $50,000 worth. Again, you lose momentum. Well, I'll leverage it like Jay-Z did. He didn't pay $25 million for that house. He leveraged the stock from his portfolio. Wonderful. Borrow the money from the bank. Didn't pay the bank interest. But either way, you don't control interest. There are contracts in which you can put your money into where you control the interest. Because again, I'm on insurance because insurance is a powerful vehicle that they want you to just focus on the death benefit. It kills me when I'm trying to explain to a person the power of an insurance policy and a trust and how it can be created as unison to leave an inheritance for your children's children's children, to make sure that each generation, your family doesn't have to start over. Because that what is happens in our community. Each generation, we start back over from scratch. I'm explaining this one more time real quick. Have $100,000 in cash value insurance policy. Now, not just all cash value insurance policies aren't created equal. Let's make sure we understand this, because I told you guys before, okay? It has to be from a mutual insurance company that pays dividends, all right? A mutual insurance company that pays dividends with high yielding cash value. So that means when if you wanted to front load your cash value, if you want to take that $100,000 or $50,000 out of the bank or out of those stocks and put it in this account where you're going to get dividends and a return and have access to it to be able to do this. Now you got $100,000 in a high yielding cash value whole life insurance policy from a mutual insurance company that pays dividends. Cash value, you have it, $100,000. You want to pull 50 out. You do not have to take your 50,000 away from that 100,000 that you have in there. That 100,000 is used as collateral. Your 50,000 that you borrow from your 100,000 comes out of the insurance company general fund. Do you understand that? Your 100,000 continues to work for you. It continues to work for you over time. It continues to work. But yet, you were able to get that 50,000 from the general fund, go into that investment, make that money, and put the $50,000 back or pay yourself back to interest. You control your interest. That's the that is just one piece of the financial literacy. Financial literacy should not be the kryptonite for you. It's not about what your parents didn't tell you. Unconscious ignorance. But after today, if you listen to me for 29 minutes, now you have conscious ignorance. Now you know what you don't know. It's no excuse. It's no excuse. Invest your time and your effort to learn financial literacy. It's needed. It's needed for you right now to understand and how to navigate this financial market that's out here. Truly, you've been on these jobs for X amount of years and you have a 401k. Okay. Does it make sense to leave the money in the 401k? But if you pull the money out of the 401k, what type of vehicle should you put it in? Financial literacy is going to give you the answer. You're 65. You're 60, 61, 62, 65, coming up on retirement age, but you don't have money to retire. Financial literacy can give you income. You're a young person. You're 20 years old. You could be retired in 10 years. Financial literacy can give you that answer. You have your child that you're going to put this money into a college fund, but what if the child don't want to go to college? There are other vehicles for you where that money does not have to be utilized for college. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. Financial literacy will give you those answers. Stop letting financial literacy be the kryptonite in our community. I am here saying it loud and I'm saying it proud. Financial literacy will be our superpower. Because once we understand and create our own economical resolve for each family, our own economical resolve for each family, then we're able to go out and join the families, join the communities, join the cities, join the states, and have something that is to be reckoned with. Too long that we fight like this, a slap. Time to ball them up and get together so we can throw some punches and be more effective. Operating in systems that are broken, that's failing, that have failed you, now they're failing your children. Chikuma, yeah, we can start a class. We starting a class. BBB, Brother Building Brothers. I haven't talked about that this week because my sidekick not with me this week. But yeah, hey, it's about building the class. Matter of fact, we're doing a presentation. I'm gonna call it a presentation in 2 weeks. I'm gonna have a link, and it's all about financial literacy, y'all. It's about how can you learn to navigate this financial landscape. And I'm not talking about investments. Okay, I'm talking about vehicles that have been around for hundreds of years, and how the wealthy have utilized various vehicles to move their generational wealth from generation to generation. Okay, well, you say, well, Keith, I got an insurance policy, I got, who's your benefactor? Let me ask you that. Who's your benefactor? Outside of your spouse, who's your benefactor? Your children. Okay, your children. Okay. How many people do you know that parents had a pretty good lifestyle? The grandparents had a pretty good lifestyle, had businesses, had investment properties, all of that. But yet, 2 or 3 generations, they're gone. Listen, that happened to the Vanderbilts. They had, look, when they were prominent, they had more money in their day and time. They had more money than Elon Musk has today. Okay. But that money only lasted 3 generations because they lived a lavish lifestyle. I believe they had something like 17 mansions in New York, huge mansions in New York. They lived that lifestyle. Unlike the Rockefellers. The Rockefellers understood the power of that whole life policy that I just mentioned to you guys. Yeah, they did. They understood the power of a trust and what a trust could do and how to structure that. Now, there are other moving pieces in that. You got to reach out to me and find out more about that because I don't have time to go into all of the moving pieces. But that's the difference between night and day. Okay? That's the difference. when you understand financial literacy, it just gives you options. And what does it say in the word? That money is the answer to all problems. They always want to talk about, oh, the love of money is the root of all evil. No, but it says love. It says money is the answer to all problems. There's a time for all seasons. There's a time to cry. There's a time to laugh. But guys, listen. Just continue to tune in. And I'm going to ask you one more time. Put something out there for me. Give me a comment. Tell me to shut up. Tell me you like what you're hearing. Tell me to keep on. Tell me to stop. But just tell me something. I just want to know you're out there. Because we come in. Because this is a mission. You understand? This is a mission. This is not just some look, this is not a club. This is not a club thing. This is not a popularity thing. This is not my business. My business has nothing to do with my business. I'm sharing this information because I know it's somebody out there that need it. In my business, I can help you with all of it. Yeah, of course I can. I don't have, but look, I'm here doing something because it's doing something. That's all I got for you. But in any case, hey guys, I didn't get through my notes, but that's okay. That's okay. Hopefully you got something out of tonight, y'all. Hopefully you did. Hopefully you did. You know, come back next week, 8 o'clock. We'll be here dropping some information on you. 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, we're coming with a presentation specifically for Hampton Roads, bringing you something new. It's going to be no more excuses why you don't understand financial literacy. No more excuses. It's not going to be no more excuses. You can look at the man in the mirror, and the mirror is going to start talking to you and say, did you hear what that brother said? You owe it to the babies. These babies didn't ask to be here. Babies didn't ask to be here. Thank you, soldier. I appreciate that. Need to get you up here so we can talk about what's going on in Africa and understanding. You guys need to tune in and look and see what's going on in Africa too. And have your eyes open. But anyway, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Unlocking Your Legacy. I'm your host, King Rob. Let me explain that to you real quick before I go. So what is this dude talking about King Rob? You know, I was listening to someone today, and I was thinking about the energy of the words and the words that we speak to each other. You know, okay, whether nigga, or whatever the case may be, I don't agree with that term, period, right? And then we got dog, we got the ladies are being called bitches, you know, and they're calling, you know, ladies are calling each other bitches, which I don't understand that myself. I really don't. But how you look at yourself and how you speak to yourself is speaking to your subconscious and telling your subconscious who you are. As a man thinketh, so shall he be. So I decided to give myself a title and call myself King Rob. I'm the king of myself. You understand? I make my decisions, and I understand that my life is a direct reflection upon the decisions that I make. So I owe it to myself, my family, and the community to make righteous decisions. about life and in business. But in any case, guys, listen, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to tune in. I hope you come back next week at 8 o'clock. But hey, Keith Robertson, the Fin Coach, a.k.a. K-Rob, King Rob, that was my nickname back then, a.k.a. King Rob. I really thank you guys for tuning in, all jokes aside. You could have been anywhere else, but you were here tonight. Listen, remember, action of knowledge leads to power. Mindset, skill set, tool set leads to assets. Hope to see you next week. Peace and blessings. We're going to keep it rolling, y'all. See you next week. Peace.
Thank you for taking time to tune in to Talking PHAT. As we know better, we must do better, because action of knowledge leads to power. If this content has been useful to you, please like and share. Tune in again. Peace and blessings.